pulled up.
Yep, we do. We have a Karo Khan, and this is what Easy with Aces plays. It's the true and tried, old reliable. He played this against Hafu, and okay, David takes, which is this is already pretty good for black. It's actually a pretty decent position.
And I think David went into French exchange in one of his previous matchups as well, just trying to avoid some of the heavier theory.
Yeah, not my weapon of choice, but that's the beauty of getting coaching from multiple sources is that you just can play simple chess.
I will say I just happened to open up Finton's stream and he immediately said, I don't know this line of Karo Khan, which is bad because it's move 3.
Yeah, that is bad. Again, I see. I was going to say when you said Finton is like confident, maybe on the inside, because when he talks about his chess, he's very very kind of like humble and reserved. He's like, I don't know this, but this isn't groundbreaking stuff. All white did was trade pawns in the center. It can't be that good. So
But
I
he's
just
still
remember, yeah, sorry, he just went into sorry, one time he was playing, he went into a studio office with like a long chair and a fireplace, which seems like a confident thing to do for a chess player.
He does it when he plays poker too. I think he does it to kind of regroup mentally. And yeah, he's very the guy got the hands waving. I mean, Pac-Man just looks like he's got a call out of jail, maybe. Like that's his one phone call for the day, and
This
he's
is
just
like Obama looking at SEAL Team 6.
yeah, he's just like
he's just studying the footage.
He is locked in. That is Miles is one focused man.
Well, I mean, they have a very similar amount of focus, but I see that David isn't actually streaming this while Finton is. So Finton has a bit more of a distraction.
Yeah, that is true. I don't think David didn't stream because of focus. I think he has two locations and sometimes he goes to like his second place and his connection there is not stable and he didn't want to connect to a stream and to Zoom, so he chose one over the other. But he's got a very very chill position here. They're both looking mighty fine. But what's next?
So Finton just played his bishop to d6. He's offering up the trade. I wonder if David is just going to go for it. I feel like that's always the most straightforward plan that we've seen in Pogchamps so far, just going for the trade.
Simplify. Knight b5 I'm showing on the board attacks the queen, but it's not the best move because Easy with aces will move his queen. That ain't gonna fly here.
You don't want to be a one-trick pony, right?
Quite literally, yes. But so that queen will go anywhere safe.
At what level do people stop trading? Because I feel like everybody loves trading at Pogchamps level. And then every commentator is always, looking disdainfully at it. Like early trades. Early trades, I feel like, are a staple of low-level play.
I was gonna let Alexandra
take it away. Well, I mean, you can do trades at any level. I think it's when it seems like it's the only option that is considered sometimes at Pogchamps level. So I don't know if he was thinking about moving his queen up to d2 to defend his bishop instead and then recapturing and activating the piece. So what I usually realize is that players will go for trades even if it's a suboptimal move, and I almost never see them defending the trade with a subtle move like that.
Yeah, because you have to start at, is it a fair trade? If yes, okay, play it. That's always how you should start as a beginner. Just if yes, okay, by all means, go ahead if you're making fair trades. But then it's like, at some point you go, what has changed in the position? And for a beginner, the queen has gotten more active for my opponent isn't natural.
Yeah, because it's fair to me as I took whores, he took whores. Seems fair. But I don't consider that he will take it with a piece that's now activated and pushed out into the board.
Which is reasonable, because you don't want to have information overload when you're just starting off with chess, because it's already so overwhelming. So I think as coaches, we're happy to see it. I mean, you coach both of them, Levy. How are you feeling about their play so far?
No, this is great. I have zero concerns with them as far as the opening goes, because they're not prep monsters. Whereas, like somebody like Hafu, she's going to play this very logically. She's going to go, the guy goes for this opening. The best way to play against it is to surprise him with something I've never done before and play the most challenging weapon.
Mm-hmm.
And these guys are just like, I want to get a chess game and then we'll figure it out. So it's not even like cheesing it or something like that where you try to win in 5 moves. You just try to maximize your winning chances and putting pressure on your opponent. But Finton has done everything you're supposed to do in a Caro-Kann. Now let's see what comes next, because David will, is David going to take, or is David going to play f2, f4 and guard his central knight?
Right. So this is one of the first opportunities where we can see David making a mistake if he leaves his knight hanging on e5 and ends up losing a pawn. But he goes for knight b5, so he's attacking the queen.
Yep.
And a move like queen b6 looks really good. What were you going to say, Levy?
That's queen b6 or queen e7. Actually, any queen move which is safe and on a dark square is totally fine. If you go queen a6, you will run into the fork on c7, and he plays queen b6. Like, it's good when you're playing our moves. Even Ludwig's. He's on fire today. He beat Alexandra, so...
Actually, Finton beat me in an odds match before also.
Boy, with what time?
Didn't he have...
I think I may have had like 15 or 20. I don't remember.
Okay.
Wasn't his foray into chess not beating you when you only had a king?
Yes, and he had all his pieces.
How does that even work?
Multiple times.
That was before chess was much of anything at all, and we had a few poker people playing, and one day there was an Easy with Aces Alexandra Botes crossover, and now he's 1,000 rated player.
Well, I didn't teach him about stalemate yet, so really I was just cheesing him.
I mean, hey, win's a win. Or draw's a draw, I guess.
Draw's a draw.
Draw's a draw. But
he couldn't win.
But he's come really far since then, obviously. He plays poker and he's used to grinding out different games, and he was super busy. And now he's finally had a little bit more time to focus on chess, and look at the improvement. This is just a fantastic play so far.
Yeah, very solid position. A lot of games like this get decided with a combination of your piece play and your pawn play. So, okay, so that move is an example of piece play, but he's not realizing that just moving the queen up one square, there's a lingering threat in the position that Alexandra wanted to uncork with the queen where it stands. A6.
And Ludwig, if you were playing this position with the black pieces, what kind of plans would you try to go for here?
If I'm looking at the board from black's position, I mean, I think for me, it's just about getting rooks in earlier. I feel like people just leave them hanging like often, and then you enter endgame and your rook's still on A1 or something.
Oh, and you read his mind. There you go.
I think that is that it, and I know sometimes it really doesn't matter. Is that the wrong rook?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so. But
it's still,
in this case, yes.
It still works, but usually, right, you want to take it like left half rook takes left side.
Yeah, because then your other rook has more options for where he can go.
Mm-hmm.
So in terms of the piece play, David's pieces are, see, again, like this is moving far past the beginner's term. Like they're standing pretty confidently, but they're poorly coordinated. And that's why. Because the knight is blocking the queen from seeing the b2 pawn. So you need to scan what's unguarded in your position. And that's really the issue, is that now when the knight comes back, if Finton takes now, it looks like his queen is getting trapped.
I don't know if he will. I feel like he did this to stack his rooks. And the only way to stack your rooks is to get rid of that knight so you can move your rook to c7. So I think that's what he's thinking, is go c7, bring the rook back, stack them, rather than take. But maybe now that the knight's kind of like in this area and blocking the c file even more or cluttering it up, maybe he'll see it.
Okay, let's see what he's seeing. Let's go to his stream.
I'm tempted to like attack this, but like I'm not sure. If we go,
yeah, so that was a guttural noise.
We're just gonna go back here, I think.
Oh, he just doesn't see it at all.
Yeah, that was
Just
just
goes
random.
for a
Secured his
totally
pawn. I
different
think it's
plan.
I feel
quite
like
important.
he was doing a lot on the right, and he just said, "Okay, he was concerned about the pawn." I see.
Yeah.
It wasn't under threat though. I guess he's just very
It's still a
cautious.
solid move though. He's
Sure.
regrouping his knights, so maybe not the most accurate, but it's like one of the top 5 moves he could have done there. He sees the queen attack.
Okay.
Yeah, he's deliberating what's the right knight square here.
Alright, so we gotta be careful because we gotta go here, and then if he attacks this square, we gotta be careful of the pin, or not the pin, the fork. We're just gonna go here for a sec and start trying to potentially counter attack ourselves.
That's correct. Yep.
Yeah.
Nice.
I would imagine that if he brings this over here, we just want to move one of these slightly so that he can't get this square and attack the 2 of them.
See, look at that. Very nice tactical. Like, he sees that that's possible if his queen's not there. So in the absence of his queen, he has to cover that threat. Like, this is 2 guys who are good at chess. And
Yeah, he's looking at like level 2 threats.
Don't hang
hanging
pieces.
piece,
Just don't hang pieces. Let him hang pieces when he gets low on time.
Exactly, Finton. Take a swig. Take a swig.
Is this trapped?
Good man.
No, obviously not.
Oh, and the live board has a bad move.
I think Finton immediately recognized it.
Yes, I apologize. I thought we were still. That's why I'm looking at this other screen. I'm still watching.
No, you're
him.
good. You're good. Yeah.
So this is. It's a mistake for like the most subtle of reasons. Really, it's a positional mistake, right? Like, what does that mean? So, Alexandra, why is this not good? Why did the eval bar go full Fall Guys?
Finton just showed us why. So he can now put his knight on e4, and that's called an outpost where no pawn can ever kick the knight out of. Because he put his pawn on f4, he created some light square weaknesses. So you often think of overexpanding your pawns. The square of the color they move to, so f4 being dark, then creates weaknesses on the opposite color, the light square on e4.
And this move is totally busted because, again, the positioning of the knight on the edge of the board, I think that why it's so busted is there is b5, and not to mention the fact that everything Alexandra just said, queen takes pawn. So that's really the thing. He had to maintain defense of his f4 pawn, and it's not defended. It's just a free pawn. So the two things is the weak pawn and the bad knight. And
well, Ludwig, do you think he's going to see taking the pawn on f4 based on his play so far?
Yeah, I think absolutely. I think he'll notice that it's hanging, because noticing the knight move I think is harder. That now you can push your knight, and it's interesting because I feel like this game was going really well, and then it felt like Pac-Man didn't know what to do anymore. You know, it felt like he needed to make a move, and you keep having to advance, and you never just get to not do anything. And then you kind of let Finton's moves be easier because of it.
So I want to take it all the way back to his third move. Like the way he played, and by the way, Finton missed it.
Oh,
Finton missed it.
Well, okay, he's going for the knight though.
Yes, he did notice that he has this plan. So, but for Finton, it was a continuity problem. He forgot that the pawn, I'm assuming we weren't listening to him, but he forgot his queen had vision on the pawn, and the other queen left that pawn be.
Yeah, I actually saw him arrowing his knight to f6 and e4 before he even made the move. So it seems like it was always his plan to get the knight in the center. So he just focused on that plan without necessarily completing the tactic at the end.
Yeah, again, this is only showing so drastically in Finton's favor, despite the complete equality on the position, because of a move like b5. And wow, he's done it. And now the knight has to go all the way back to b2. Good move. And now his knight is dominant over the center. So the reason it got so it all ties back to move 3 is because David just basically traded in the center and put his pieces out, but every opening is optimized differently, and he didn't set up the right way to put pressure on Finton. So now it's Finton's game to play for win. But you know what's crazy? It's -4 according to the screen, and they're equal material.
That's weird. Yeah. That's annoying that it's all back to move 3, you know?
Yeah.
That you did one thing wrong and then you're punished so hard for it.
It's it's experience. So Finton is like very well versed in this opening, but he's missing one move, small things. And David's improvising. Like David could have shown up and been like, all right, I'm gonna play this variation. This is how I'm gonna put pressure on him. But not everybody wants to do that. Not everybody wants to sit down and like try to prepare 15, moves in a row. And that's
I will say, although that advantage seems drastic on the computer's reading, I don't know if a player like of these caliber can really capitalize well on it.
No, you had to take the free material.
Yeah. And so if you don't get the free material, then the position no longer matters.
Yep.
When you don't know what to do with it.
And on top of that, Finton's time gap is getting smaller now. He used to be up like a minute on the clock.
Yeah, so the reason that this is so bad, I think, is because here Black can play Queen B6, and Queen B6 attacks the central pawn, and you cannot protect it. Like, you cannot move your queen, and if you move your pawn, then I'm pretty sure, is there knight takes C3 here?
Oh, that's a really cute tactic.
Right, and then if rook C3, you have Queen D4 check, and you fork the rook with your queen and the rook. So like, but seeing that is ridiculous. Like if that's the only line for advantage, how are you going to find that?
Ludwig, what kind of ideas would you go for from Finton's point of view here?
Oh, not that one. Not that one.
Yeah, that was brazen. Why did he think that knight could do that?
We talked about it. Equal material trades, go for it, right?
But that knight was so good. The relative value of that knight was way more than that bishop. That bishop hasn't moved. It's been 23 moves. It moved once. Now it's gone.
I think it's easiest just to take hanging pieces, and you get hanging pieces when you have way more pieces that are active that can threaten things, and your opponent has still, his rook on A1. And
Finton is still playing very well. I don't mean to cut you off. Just
no, you're not. I'm just saying, in general, Finton, rather than just having to continually move the knight, which is already doing a lot, he can just bring out someone else into the party, and then hopefully have advantage.
And at least he has the plan of doubling his rooks on that C file, so he's still going to put pressure on C2, and that pawn is a little bit awkward to move, because if he pushes to C3, then he won't be protected by the queen anymore, just by the pawn. And C4 is going to be quadruple protected by 2 pawns and 2 rooks. So at least he has a target to keep pushing.
Right. And if you trade C4 the improper way, then the queen now has vision on these central pawns. But the way the game is going, it really just looks like David is unsure what to do. He's trying to like defend everything. And chess is just like this. If you have 3 weaknesses, 4 potentially, you can't defend them all. You just can't. Like there is a way through, but Finton has to find it.
Well, Pacman has been playing his defense very well. He did see how to maneuver his horse all the way back to protect the pawn on F4. Now his knight is in the center. I'm just getting a little bit nervous. 2 minutes versus 3 minutes. How much of a difference do you think that'll make, Ludwig?
That's huge, right? Like obviously a minute time difference. It's going to stay that way likely. Just they're probably going to keep playing the way they play. That's something I think about a lot. Is like the way they play early game is likely how they'll play late game, or it's how they're comfortable playing. So best case or worst case scenario, they'll just play worse. And so I think the way they're playing, I don't think Pacman has any really attack strategies thought about, and Finton's hasn't been working. I'm kind of nervous. I think this will go down to time.
I really am hesitant about this move that David just played. That rook on A2, not C1. I mean, they're both a little bit sus. They're not happy.
Wow, why do you look at the other side of the board?
I think he's just getting nervous because his pieces are so cramped on the left side that he feels like he needs to get some activity somewhere. Sure, and then he's doing something that he knows is a little bit suspicious. You don't want to push the pawns in front of your king, but you also don't want to lose on time. How do you pick?
Yeah, I feel like this is where it all implodes. Like they're very even game in terms of points. It's about to
I mean, that's a fine move for Finton. It's a little bit passive, but his opponent is the one with all of the weaknesses, yet his opponent is the one pushing forward here. And Finton sees the discovery attack on the rook on c1, the fact that the pawn on c2 is pinned. Very nice find on his end.
Yeah, that actually is very nice. Sometimes when you have two rooks like this, it's not just about the straight down attack. It's about sliding over one square, and the rook on the back rank is just stuck. But oh, this is good. I like this a lot. F6.
He is creating counterplay there. Even if it's not accurate, at least it makes Fintan sweat a little bit. Would you be intimidated to see a pawn on f6, Ludwig?
Yeah, I mean, this is like they're both just attacking and no one's defending, it feels like.
He just caged this bishop.
But he can uncage him with g5 later.
Not if David Pacman plays the absolutely gangster move g5 himself.
I don't think that's even a thought that will cross his mind.
Oh my, I mean, yeah, I don't think so. I think what's much more natural is to play queen h4, queen takes pawn, and queen g7 mate, which might happen.
Wow. His plan is actually kind of working out. Depends on the execution, but Pacman's only going to have a minute to come up with a plan, and I feel like he's going to sink so much of his time on a winning strategy here. So if he finds it, he has a chance. Otherwise...
He's going for it. That move might run into g5, by the way, for black.
I think pretty clearly, right? It feels supernatural for anyone to put g5 up.
Not well. He might do it, but Fintan might be the kind of guy that's like, I don't want to push pawns in front of my king. I'm going to drop my queen all the way back, but that would be a big mistake.
Or he pushes on the right. This feels like the chess version of slap boxing. Where they're,
what is that?
You ever see like the Russian where they just slap each other as hard as they can?
Oh, yeah.
That's like what's happening. They just keep slapping. Yeah. They're ignoring everything. They're just slapping each other, and then they get hit, and they never, ever, ever think about blocking. They just go for the next slap. David just thought about
blocking. David, actually, no, you're right. He slapped,
no,
but his slap is bigger.
They're just slapping. No one's ever defending what's happening on the other side of the board.
The issue with this is that Fintan has to defend the g7 square with his queen, but then if Pacman trades off queens, there's going to be no more protector for his rook on a3, and you can tell from Fintan's face that he realizes something went down.
Oh, no.
And we're listening in on him.
Damn, glasses off. I don't think that's really good to see the board better.
Maybe time-wise he won't close it out, but this is not good.
Oh man,
okay, we gotta just play quick, right? Fuck. Okay.
Yeah, let's bring it back to the big board. I mean, you know, it's like in the UFC when you don't get an interview if you just get knocked out. Like,
you don't zoom in on the injured player.
Yeah, like I mean,
look at them in pain.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but pretty sick attack from Pacman.
Yeah, wow. F6 was really good. It actually was really good, yes.
And I really think it was just neither player ever looking to defend the attack that was happening to them at any point.
Right, and at some point you just want to halt all of the threats before you carry on with your plan. Still, I mean, Fintan has an extra minute here, and he has one pass pawn, so there's still a chance.
Oh no, a4 had to be played.
Yeah.
Okay, rook b8. Oh, now David just goes rook a8. He could just clean this up. Actually, rook b5 even. You can.
Okay, style points, Levy.
Okay, see, knight a6. You gotta trade. You gotta trade, and the story of the sad bishop on h7. This was a good game. I mean, whatever happens, it was actually like it was a good fight. And credit to Pacman for bringing it back.
I don't know if it's over yet. With the time constraint, he's going to have to move fast. And I don't think sacking a rook is natural.
Ooh, b3. That's a nice find. C takes b3 doesn't work because the rook on c1 is hanging.
What?
And he's back. 30 seconds.
Wow.
Is getting to Pacman.
Oh my goodness. He's played g5. If Pacman had ever played g5, his bishop would have just been stuck.
He just unfreed the beast, got back material.
Wow. Damn, this is
oh my god.
This is a swingy game.
Oh,
Ludwig,
sorry,
you
sorry,
called
sorry.
it. You said it wasn't over.
Well, yeah, I mean, 30 seconds left. Levy's talking about these mating patterns like they're so obvious. Like just
I offered a
jack
trade
the
of
rook.
rooks.
You were offered a trade of rook. It looked like the dumbest move a man could make. I'm just thinking, I mean, you have 36 seconds to make the best move possible. Yeah, it's
Well, let's put it this way. After that lesson with well, actually after that game with Hafu, I thought that Mr. Pacman got a few endgame training sessions in, but you're right. At the end of the day, it's just the time. And this is only losing because he's supposed to go after the weakness of the f7 pawn, but Finton's back in this game.
He's actually forcing Finton to activate his king, which is something he wants to do regardless. So he's helping his opponent without realizing it.
yeah, I think that's a very common thing to have happen, is that you don't activate your king unless someone threatens it, and it's usually bad for you to do that unless there's a way to, you know, force the king into a mate.
Right, he's going for that serotonin check. It feels good. It has a threat. He moves quickly.
Oh man, you could really mess up here. Oh man, this is really dangerous. I mean, the time management, now check and pick up the pawn is the easiest, or great move. Yeah.
Wow.
Now you've got to move the rook all the way back.
12 seconds though. You guys think we're going to see a flag here?
I mean, he should know about the time. I think eventually he'll get hit with a move that he won't be able to mentally deal with quick enough. Whether it's a check on his king,
right,
or something like that, that'll just eat up too much time. He's taking like more than 5 seconds per move right now.
Oh,
oh no, is this going to be the move? Okay, he got it in there. And
yeah,
Finton,
this might be it.
Finton's actually playing extremely well with the time. Is he going to see the pawn on b3 also?
He should.
Right, and there's also rook d3 check. You can start picking up everything. David Pacman has to have a moment here where he goes either for the f7 pawn or some fork with the knight. Like, don't give up. Someone in my chat today said, you can never give up as long as a knight is on the board. And I said, that's stupid. And then I won with a knight fork in a crazy time scramble.
And you
never
remember that
now.
one viewer. Did you VIP him at least, Levy?
You know, tier 3 sub, and the whole deal. Yeah, I'm never resigning. He's got 2 seconds.
Yeah, wow.
The rook is hanging. Is he going to see the rook hanging? He's got to move the rook. Rook D. Wait. Did he blunder the rook? Is that official?
Yes. Yeah, he did. He blundered the rook.
Oh no!
It's good for him because now he won't even be in check with the bishop. So
well,
he can make
now
a move.
if the rook checks him, he's taking away the defender from the king, but he can attack the rook so that his bishop is actually surviving.
I think the best thing he could do is just keep putting Finton in check, because 1, it'll make Finton have to think about his move, and 2, will just give him time.
This is so hard to win because you have to get the g5 pawn or the f7 pawn. The only way to win. No! He lost the rook!
No, he missed it. Finton missed it immediately.
The bar is going absolutely bananas.
Finton walks
get
away.
Back in your chair. Why is he
I've got a full minute and I'm just like acting as if I've got 20 seconds.
You move fast, but he had a minute 43 on the clock.
Guys,
the only way in a second.
The only way to win this.
Oh my days, Finty. All right, I have loads of time. I don't need to be panicking like this.
True.
Why am I just not taking my time and taking his pieces and not blundering? We were doing lovely. It was perfect.
Oh no.
Oh, he's back in it. Let's pull it up. Let's pull it up. That was actually a huge move. That was a big lesson there. Finton centered himself right at the critical moment. I'm not sure you guys, if you guys saw, like, the threat was to take the bishop, and that's it. He's winning again. This is his game to win.
But it's still a very tough endgame to understand.
Don't push the pawn.
Win.
Do not push the pawn and lose your bishop. Good man. Bishop g6.
Cool.
It's difficult, but not impossible, because you just push your pawns, right? Like, that's.
I think pushing pawns is incredibly strange, and you end up like,
well, you got no way to win this.
Sometimes just getting boned, and it feels like you shouldn't have gotten boned.
That's a very that is a good way of looking at it.
Sophisticated
Grandmaster
way
Ludwig.
to explain it.
Yeah.
Ludwig, thank you. Well, he's activating his king, which is a good attempt, but it's not going to be able to come farther because f5 is protected by the pawn.
No draw.
F6,
I think Pacman
think,
would
Ludwig?
love a draw here. I think Pacman would be super happy if he could find a draw here.
And easy with aces just says no thanks. No thanks.
Again, I think these checks are just to get 5 seconds on the board real quick.
And here
that's
comes
a
the king.
reasonable strategy.
Oh, he's throwing his pawn. He's giving his pawn away on f6.
I don't know if Oh, he does see it.
Oh my goodness. He got too amped up. Bishop has to move.
I mean, when his brain is only thinking about check to add time to see that pawn, I think it's pretty hype.
This is an insane game. This is a 76 move game right now. We might get 100.
Wow. Well, we weren't kidding when we said this is going to be one of the closest matches today.
Now, Fintan has to find the right coordination of moving his bishop and pushing this pawn. Yes, it's equal, but it's equal because black actually, in theory, cannot make any progress. Because if you do, like the bishop here, I play rook up and I take your pawn. So the bishop has to stop that from happening. And the players don't know that, which is why this is so beautiful.
Yeah, this is definitely not a draw. The computer's wrong. I'll say it. Computers are dumb. And when they become advanced and they come after me, I will regret saying that.
It was me.
It was Levy. It was Levy.
I said that.
I think something will erupt here.
And
he has to. Yeah. Go ahead.
I was going to say, there's no way he can defend his pawn on g5. So the only counterplay he can get.
This is crazy.
They're playing
Oh my gosh. The two pawns are about to happen. He's got to be really damn careful because if this G pawn goes, it is faster than. Oh man, I don't like bishop e4. What happens when I just push?
Right, you're not stopping the pawn and you're blocking your own pawns from pushing forward here.
Now, oh no, g6 is still a drew. No, I think this should be lost.
Weird to not push g6. I feel like that was pretty.
Oh, now he can play king h5, and now the pawn can't move forward, so it should be able to hold now.
Strange decision.
Why did you find it strange?
Well, you're obviously like pushing the pawn. I don't know what that rook move did at all.
Wow. Oh my God.
That's so clean, blocking the rook from defending the pawn on g5. Wow.
That's actually brilliant. And now if Pacman plays something like rook e8, trying to get his own another pawn for himself.
What?
So that's it. He lost the pawn. That's
what was that king move?
Well, there was nothing he could have done. He can't defend his pawn.
Well, he could have attacked the other pawn, no?
Then he would have lost the rook.
That's what I was saying. Then bishop takes rook. Yeah. This is, that's not the right move because of that. That is, you get blockaded. You have to avoid this. And
man,
this
Dvorsky somewhere cringing.
It is the eternal Pogchamp. Oh, that's it. Shuffle. Draw. Get out of here. Draw.
Oh, yeah. I think they're both happy to take it at this point.
91 move draw.
Wow.
I remember somebody said we aren't going to see any draws in Pogchamps. Here it is.
Yeah, that gets a clap from us.
That was a good game.